We have been lied to about almost everything. It's insane. People all over the world are getting their eyes opened, okay, on several different levels, several different fronts of the depths of insanity that this world is under. The government's lying. We've gone over vaccines. We've talked about that. I'm going to continue to talk about the vaccines and the vaccine promoting cabal out there. We really nailed that down before. We were lied to. Then people that tried to speak the truth were censored, shut down. Doctors and scientists lost their, they lost their licenses to be a doctor. They lost their status. Nazi shit going on all over the place. Okay. And on several different levels, we've seen what's been going on with the spending in our government, the unbelievable amount of careless waste going on. USAID being essentially a terrorist organization. We're overthrowing governments. We're putting in dictators like we did in Ukraine. And we've hit on that a little bit. We'll hit on that some more. The human sex trafficking that our government is involved in, funding, partnering with the cartels, this globalist Marxist agenda going on where you're a citizen of Earth. You're not a citizen of the United States. They're trying to destabilize. We've seen this with USAID. We've seen this with the CIA. NASA, we're going to hit on that. Okay, NASA is a money laundering firm, essentially. And this is going to go down as one of the biggest hoaxes of all time. So I'm going to hit on this in a second. The term flat Earth is a psyop. We're going to hit on this. We don't have any real pictures of the Earth from outer space. Okay, just let that sink in for a second. They're always CGI. They're always CGI. They can't help it. Trump needs to sign an executive order forbidding CGI shit from outer space. No more CGI, no more altered, no more fake videos, only raw footage. And if you do CGI, you have to show what you did or something. It's like they just can't help themselves. They have to CGI everything. Okay, so we've been lied to about everything going on. The Marxist agenda, you destabilize, divide, conquer, you control both sides. Narratives go out to destabilize, and then you have an alternate, mind went blank. What's it called? It's controlled opposition. So they control the other side. So they have some opposing, of what's, for example, they were pushing transgender and gender studies galore, even in our schools to children, for example. And then, of course, anybody that has a brain is like, that's insane. It's illegal to get a tattoo until you're 18 or 17 or whatever. But we can have children literally altering their lives for the rest of their lives. That's insane. They know that. And so what often happens, this is just a possible example. Then they also create controlled opposition that they control that will speak against that on that point. For example, another possible example, who knows? Here's another possible example of controlled opposition. The Federal Reserve is a scam. They lied about everything and they just tiptoed their way in. Like taxes, they tiptoed their way. At first, there was no income tax until 1916 or 1914 or something. No income tax. They first introduced it temporarily just for the wealthy, a 1% tax. Now look at it. We're basically communists and socialists all over the world. That's how they do it. They tiptoe their way in. Okay. Here's a possible controlled opposition. For example, the Federal Reserve is a scam. So, hey, let's create Bitcoin that we can even though they can't control it, but they can manipulate the hell out of it, as we've seen. And it's turned out being the number one gaining asset in all of human history by factors of many tens. Okay. All right. Bitcoin is done like 150 million X, if you can imagine that. Okay. As an example. All right. So I'm not saying that Bitcoin was created by the government or anything like that, but that is something they would do. So that makes sense. I'm still, believer in Bitcoin for sure, but something to think about on how we continuously get rope-a-doped. We've seen this a lot, how, we kind of come to find out over the years that politicians on the left and the right are controlled by the same people. Now we're hoping Trump and Elon are these X-Men coming in to save the day. You can't hardly dispute a single thing they're doing. It's been blowing our minds. Everybody's blowing our minds. Our heads are spinning every day. 50 new things going on. It's never ending. Mind blown all the time. JD Vance lit it up. Yes, just went right on in there to the EU and just let them have it. Freedom of speech. It's evil. All these things. I'll be covering the EU and Europe and just how much gone it is, how it's like gone, gonzo, dunzo. The EU is turning out to be like a terrorist organization, essentially. It's awful. Okay. And, it's just outright communism. Okay. But then here's what we got to ask ourselves. Is there controlled opposition? Okay. So this is what has me a little bit worried right now, because it's so amazing. I thought the world was done. The only thing left was it's all going to burn. The world is ending. We have outright lunatics having full control of our world that are completely racist, completely evil, complete corruption to the core. And it keeps just revealing itself. And what's amazing, I never thought it would happen. Enough people have actually opened their eyes. I didn't think Trump would win. Didn't think he had an Ice Cube's chance in hell because they rigged the elections, as we've covered unequivocally, over the top, obvious, endless evidence. They rigged the elections. We had the J6 hoax. They weaponized the government against people, just like Hitler. I mean, this is Hitler, communist 101, obvious stuff. It's going on in Europe. They arrested in Europe or in Britain, in Great Britain, like 4,000 people for social media posts last year. It's like, and social media posts such as revealing that their daughter got gang raped, or revealing, somebody, their friend dies and they post their friend's favorite rap song, and the rap song was dropping N-bombs in there. And so they arrested and fined, people are getting arrested for praying, peacefully, privately, as JD Vance said on, he just like throat punched them. It's amazing. And it's so obvious. So people all over the world are having their eyes opened. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is actually happening. We're cleaning out all the endless corrupt. Basically, pretty much every dollar spent in our government is corrupt as hell. It's like so much beyond worse than what we could have ever imagined. Everything is just garbage everywhere. Coffee cups for $1,200. We've got, just endless amounts of insane spending, completely reckless, irresponsible. They don't even care. Everything is a total shit show with the government. Everything. It's like beyond what we could have ever imagined. Awful. And then of course we have, the alt people on the left that are still just making asses of themselves, saying, Elon Musk, President Elon, and all this and that, when literally this was the thing that we are all probably most excited about, is cleaning out the government bureaucracy, cleaning all this up, getting, taxes, get the IRS out of here. We don't need, just no more property tax, no more, abolish the IRS. Like, stop the human sex trafficking trade. Let's go. We're all here for it. Who wouldn't support that? People are waking up and realizing the media has just been indoctrinating and lying. Okay, but here's what happens, especially the way this is played out is so mind-boggling. Here's where I get worried. Things that were so lunacy, things that were being said, like defund the police, for example. We had Black Lives Matter, which is also, I would say, a terrorist organization that was funded by USAID and our government, also by George Soros, who also got tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars of donations that just disappeared. They took the money and ran. There's no accountability. It was being promoted everywhere. People were actually buying into this. It was obviously a psyop because, Black Lives, they're destroying cities, 450 different cities, just destroyed, tens of billions of dollars of damage everywhere. We saw it everywhere on video. The horror, people getting beat half to death, people getting killed, police officers getting shot and killed, and then they say the biggest threat to America is white supremacy. We saw all this bullshit, going is psyops. It was obvious, but the disturbing thing was the number of people who are actually buying into this nonsense. Okay, and it's a psyop. So, like, it did kind of kill a lot of people, just killed the fire. All the J6 stuff was going on. Like we had nothing we could do. It's just like, okay, the Nazis have taken over. And then it's like, hallelujah. It is so evil how they were peddling that narrative. The J6 narrative is so evil. Now, it makes sense to have like a police state. The police are like militarized now, right? So this is what worries me. So, yeah, not only do we need police, we're under-policed, egregiously under-policed. In many of the urban cities, 911 calls, it takes over an hour for a police officer to show up. Okay, it's under-policed. And crime, people just commit crime like crazy because they know they can get away with it. It's, people get away with 90% of their crimes, especially in the inner cities, because it's under-policed. It's not over-policed. These are how we've been indoctrinated. The garbage of, all the garbage, the leftist death cult garbage going on is so obvious, like slavery that was prevalent in every country in the world, of all throughout the ages, of all races and all people. And so, including Africa being very prevalent, having more white slaves in northern Africa than America had black slaves during the transatlantic slave trade era, for example. Okay. So, and that blacks, were the number one slave traders of blacks, and they owned slaves here in America, including white slaves. Black people here in America owned white slaves. You just don't hear these things. So you hear very anti-American, absolute garbage. All you got to do is just a little common sense, and people see this, but enough people were indoctrinated. It was disturbing. And so here's what we got to watch out for is controlled opposition. Was the defund the police movement and Antifa and Black Lives Matter? We know that it was funded by our own tax dollars. Okay. USAID and all kinds of bullshit. And the media, which is a bunch of terrorist organizations, really just propaganda, terrorism. They stir hatred. They stir up violence. They stir up race wars. It's evil. And they just lie about everything. All right. So then there's controlled opposition, like AKA Fox News. That's also off, own Rupert Murdoch, and these guys are all kind of in cahoots, right? Kind of. So that's where it's like, oh, thank God, Fox News. They're speaking common sense. They're actually covering the news. It's not all this leftist woke garbage. Okay, but then what are they saying? They're kind of appealing to common sense that's where we got to be careful, because we kind of see these people, these politicians, they're controlled, by the same, oftentimes we find controlled by the same people. So this is where I've been cautiously optimistic, you know, about Elon and Trump and all the, the X-Men getting in there, cleaning house. Let's get it out of here. I'm all for it. We got to get all this government corruption out of here, all the waste. Let's, Ron Paul, auditing the Fed. Holy smokes. Dream come true. Christmas every day. Common sense everywhere. It's been amazing. Okay, but could this USAID stuff be there on purpose by the same powers that be, the Rothschilds and the whatever, the the Rockefellers and the Fidelities and the, Black Rocks and all that are the, powers that be. Of course, they profited greatly. They, crushed all the small businesses and built their own wealth over the past 5 years with COVID. We've seen that. And so the wealth of the wealthy has grown significantly, except Trump, which is hilarious and awesome. Okay. But what about Elon? How's Elon? Elon, just a few years ago when he bought Twitter, I remember, was worth somewhere around 100-ish billion. His worth right now, 400 plus billion, 450, 60 billion. How did that happen? Well, we're going to hit on that. SpaceX. We know, he's done really well. He's profited Twitter. He bought out Twitter, brought back freedom of speech. He's doing phenomenal. And Twitter, is making him $1 billion or a couple $1 billion a year profit. That's great. Carbon credits. Okay. So how the hell did he go from 100 billion to 450 billion? Okay. So we'll talk about that a little bit. I'm still loving everything Elon's doing. I'm on team Elon here. We're rooting for it. Keep going, baby. Let's root out all this corruption. They're auditing the Fed coming up, the IRS, NASA. A little conflict of interest there, maybe, but we know. Okay, let's talk about NASA. Or could USAID, before we hit NASA here, could USAID be another thing that's so obvious to everybody, anybody everywhere? Democrats are crossing sides in droves, right? Because holy smokes, all this is being exposed. You got the lefty lunatics freaking out everywhere. They don't know, we don't know what they have on us, essentially. So they're getting exposed. They're going to be in jail, hopefully, because of just the evil corruption going on everywhere. Fishy foods, baby. So it's happening in Europe. It's a mess. We'll be talking about Europe a lot, the EU, the UN, the Council of Foreign Relations, and all this garbage. Yeah, right. Elon getting it out of here. People not even working, getting paid everywhere, like thousands and tens and hundreds of thousands of people just getting paid for doing nothing, apparently. And it's like, oh shit, get it. Yes. Christmas every day. Get it out of here. Okay. But it's too perfect, isn't it? It's too obvious. Like the DOJ was obviously, weaponized against the right. All over the world, this is big time going on in Europe. They're just canceling elections because of the extreme radical right wingers out here. So they're censoring the speech. They're arresting them. They're weaponized against, it's like Nazi fascism 101. Let's just accuse them of what we're doing. That's what the left does. They're accusing everybody of literally, they do everything. So if you ever want to know what the left's doing, just look at what they accuse the right of doing. They're always doing it 100% themselves. It's like to the T. Okay. And it's like, wow. And so everybody's getting on board. Who doesn't want the government cleaned up? Who doesn't want to clean up all this mess? And who doesn't want to get rid of the, IRS and all this stuff? Could be, guys. This is where I get a little nervous. Controlled opposition. Okay. And so, so obviously who's not on board unless you're just completely duped, I mean, completely brainwashed, just open your eyes. You cannot disagree with anything Trump's doing, hardly. I mean, maybe Israel, but we'll see. I mean, they're already, I think Trump just said all that. Like, look, today he said, all hell's going to break loose by Saturday if we don't get those hostages back. Guess what? We got the hostages back. It's just his negotiating tactics. Same with the Gaza things, probably the case. But hey, we're watching. Is Trump trying to do some weird shit with the Jews? Ooh. Okay, we're watching that. Probably what we're going to see is he just like works it out and creates Middle East peace. Is that possible? All right. I don't know. We're watching like a hawk, radars into their souls, baby. We're going to pin them down like butterflies on killing boards. Let's go. Okay. Yeah. See, yeah. Income tax. Yes. Get rid of it. Get it out of here, baby. Clean up that corruption. He's doing all the right things. He's getting rid of the Department of Education, just evil to the core. When a lot of people have like dedicated their lives to getting rid of the damn Department of Corruption Education, just money laundering, just communist bastards destroying our country is what the Department of Education is. In spite of their lies, don't be duped. It's absolute fraudulent, awful, evil organization that doesn't want to teach your kids how to critically think. They don't want to teach your kids anything. They just indoctrinate, obey and listen, follow. They are against the family units. They try to rip your kids away, So, all right. Trump's just doing awesome, undoing all this stuff, man. It's like, holy smokes. Auditing the NASA. Oh, NASA, we all have known for a long time it's a fraud, but how bad is this fraud? Okay, listen up, people. Listen. The term flat Earth is a psyop. Okay? Hang on real quick. Okay. The term flat Earth is a psyop. The term flat Earth is the synonym here is the absolute epitome of stupidity. People use flat Earth as an example of you'd have to be as dumb as the flat earthers to believe that. It's synonymous with, I mean, do you really think I'm that stupid? What, do you think I'm a flat earther or something? People just say it. Preachers will preach. Well, we have to be about as dumb as a flat earther to believe that, right? It's a psyop with controlled opposition. The controlled opposition, if you look at all the prominent quote unquote flat earthers out there, they're a bunch of lunatics, and they're assholes and idiots. And so they're easy to just debunk. So what the powers that be do, we know that the influencer space is a cabal as well, especially when it comes to politics and stuff, but everywhere they groom influencers. You see it like we see it every day. Influencers are groomed and placed there by the powers that be and controlled. And that goes for the media, the news people, almost all the big influencers, almost all of them everywhere is always controlled. Okay. For a random Joe Blow, they're just not going to get the push. So it's, we got a bunch of little guys out here like me that'll probably never be big. Okay. And I'm okay with that. I've been through a lot of mess with all that and just kind of see it for what it is. And it is what it is. Anyways, so the influencer space is a racket. It's a cabal. So what they do, as we've seen with USAID, okay, for example, being exposed everywhere, millions and billions of dollars are paid to media organizations all over the world to push narratives and different things. And so there's controlled opposition. They've put people and coined the term flat Earth as the epitome of stupidity and made these main influencers look unbelievably stupid to cover up one of the biggest scams ever in our lifetime. Okay. So a normal common sense person who quote unquote believes in flat earth, which you need to remove from your vocabulary because it's a psyop. Really what they're saying is we don't know. They're not, who the fuck knows the shape of the earth? They're just saying they don't buy the NASA scam. The NASA scam, we have no real pictures of earth from outer space. They're all fake, you guys. They're all fake. All the photos, all the videos of astronauts getting out, at the space stations are fake. Absolutely fake. Okay. So we're going to hit on this hard and prove it over and over again. Endless proof. We have people go through great lengths to fake videos. The paranormal and the aliens, okay, things like that is huge. It's like a huge form of media. One of my favorite shows is watching Paranormal Caught on Camera. All this, we got nukes top 5. Ooh. And so then we have pros come in, video pros that can come in and debunk a lot of these videos that are paranormal. Okay. And they can just straight up prove how the video was clipped, this, that, and the other, and they dissect it. Now, I'm not saying all of them are fake. I'm not saying, aliens could be ruling the world for all I know. Who the fuck really knows? We don't know. But I'm going to really expose some of the things we do know. We know that all of the videos with astronauts outside in the space station are fake. And any amateur video investigator, like a video forensics professional, any amateur can look at it and pick it to pieces in the same way people are picking to pieces paranormal videos of ghosts and monsters and all this and that. Okay. That I still we even go paranormal hunting. Me and my kids will go out to the graveyards. It's fun. All right, let's go. Any ghosts out here? I don't know. Okay. Let's see. All right. I never see anything ever. Never, ever, ever do I ever see anything. I think it's like a spiritual gift. Okay. Yeah, man. So, okay. I love you, Fishy Foods. So here's the deal. NASA is a fraud. They're a money laundering scheme. People go through crazy, crazy lengths to fake videos. Okay. And we see it and then see them get debunked. Paranormal videos. Okay. But NASA, the difference here is NASA gets paid trillions of dollars over the years to do this con job, and they're bad at it. Even it's a joke. We're gonna realize how stupid we are to have been believing NASA this whole time. The evidence is overwhelming, and any amateur video forensic professional picks it apart to a million, shreds it to a million pieces, period. And okay, so who the fuck cares about the shape of the earth? Like, the term flat earth is there because what are you saying? The earth's flat? Oh, what a dumbass. What do you think? We're going to get on a boat and fall off? Dirt to dirt. That's why it's a psyop. Okay. So now when they talk about the curvature of the earth, there's thousands of evidence and endless evidence that the whole curvature of the earth is, to be nice about it, highly questionable. Okay. Because we can zoom in hundreds of miles now and kind of prove that, well, no, the round, that should be miles below the horizon, or whatever. Okay. Now we could talk about that all day. I'm not even touching that. It's this simple. It's this simple, boys and girls. We should have tens of millions of unedited raw photos of the Earth from outer space, and we don't. It's that simple. They can't help it. They always have to CGI everything. We hit on this the other day quite a bit. I've been deep diving because I'm just trying to figure out what the hell's going on in the world today. There's a lot of reasons why they would want to create this hoax. A lot of reasons. We'll cover them. This odd TV, odd ODD TV, is phenomenal on a lot of different fronts. He obviously got censored and he stopped doing content, but man, going back through his videos, holy smokes. Well, we did one on pharmaceuticals. So good. He's so ahead of his time. So smart. And I'm going to show another video as well today. So just watch and learn, people, how we have been so unbelievably duped by NASA. And it's mind-blowing how duped we've been by NASA. And everyone just take baby Noah, baby. I love you guys. Yes, I still hold on my jewel, and it's just been brutal. Love you, Noah. Okay. It's been brutal. Crypto, unless you held a lot of Bitcoin and the right coins. It's, man, shit show is crypto. Okay. All right. So it's insane what's going on here with NASA. How did we let them just completely dupe us? It's mind-blowing. All right. Here.
Major Tom.
ODD TV.
Ground control to Major Tom. Take your protein pills and put your helmet on. Ground control to Major Tom. Commencing countdown.
Hey everybody, what's happening up in this piece? ODD TV is in the building.
Let's
talk a little more about this Buzz Aldrin clip where he subtly admitted that we didn't go to the moon. I've been getting a lot of comments on my last upload of that very clip. People say he was only talking about how we didn't go back to the moon. Let's run the clip.
Why has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
That's not an 8-year-old's question. That's my question. I want to know, but I think I know. Because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened. And if it didn't happen, it's nice to know why it didn't happen.
Why has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
Because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened.
To me, Buzz is flat out saying that we didn't go. Buzz, why haven't we gone back to the moon?
Because we didn't go there. We didn't go there. We didn't go there, and that's the way it happened.
Now, this isn't just some sudden realization. This isn't the evidence. Though I'm glad that Buzz came clean, there is much more information available to show us that outer space is not what we are led to believe. Let's go over a timeline that I made. I tried to keep it as simple as possible. All right, so in 1915, NACA was founded, the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics. NACA was established by the federal government, and their mission statement was, "It shall be the duty of the Advisory Committee for Aeronautics to supervise and direct the scientific study of the problems of flight with a view to their practical solution." In 1923, Disney was founded. Walt Disney, of course, grew up in the DeMolay, a young boy's version of masonry. Continuing on, in 1936, JPL, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, was founded, in part by Jack Parsons, an avid follower of Aleister Crowley and a member of his fraternal organization, the OTO, Ordo Templi Orientis. Jack Parsons also hung out with L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of the Church of Scientology, which holds sci-fi-like religious beliefs, including the belief of a galactic dictator named Xenu. Jack Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard both practiced black magic and participated in sex magic rituals together. In 1954, Walt Disney and the father of rocket technology in the United States, Wernher von Braun, meet and make 3 films about space exploration. One was called Man in Space.
Here to introduce you to this new series is Walt Disney.
In our modern world, everywhere we look, we see the influence science has on our daily lives. Discoveries that were miracles a few short years ago are accepted as commonplace today. Many of the things that seem impossible now will become realities tomorrow.
Just a couple years later, in 1958, NACA is transformed into NASA, and the space program begins with projects like Mercury and Gemini.
Like, we actually believe this shit here is real?
In 1966, filmmaker Stanley Kubrick meets with NASA employees as well as Arthur C. Clarke. Pretty damning photograph. 3 years before the first moon landing, Kubrick just happens to be running with NASA and a well-known author of science fiction books, who also predicted satellites in 1945. Arthur C. Clarke's work includes Childhood's End, which was made into a 3-part series on Sci-Fi Channel in 2015. Very interesting series with so-called aliens, but they look like the epitome of Satan, and they come to usher in the new golden age for humanity.
There is no need to be afraid.
In 1968, Arthur C. Clarke wrote 2001: A Space Odyssey. It was developed concurrently with Stanley Kubrick's film version. Fun fact, between 1968, when the movie was made, and 2001, when the movie takes place, that is exactly 33 years. They did the exact same thing with 9/11. The Twin Towers began construction in 1968, and they were knocked down in 2001, exactly 33 years later. Anyway, this not only served as practice for Stanley Kubrick, as he was given pointers on how space should be portrayed by Arthur C. Clarke, but this was also mental conditioning for the masses. 2001: A Space Odyssey was the #1 movie in the box office in 1968. And 1 year later, in 1969, Apollo 11 claims to land men on the moon for the first time. President Richard Nixon called Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin from the White House to congratulate them.
Go ahead, Mr. President. This is Houston.
So they actually tried to say that the president called them while they were on the moon. Seriously? Like, in 1969? People actually believe this? The President Nixon called them while they're on the moon? Are you fucking kidding me? People believe. I didn't even know that. It's like, what? They actually, and people are like, oh my God, watching TV in 1969. Can you believe it? They're talking to us from the moon.
Hello, Neil and Buzz. I'm talking to you by telephone from the Oval Room at the White House. And this certainly has to be the most historic telephone call ever made from the White House. I just can't tell you how proud we all are of what you have done. Thank you, Mr. President. It's a great honor and privilege for us.
Did you? There's like a 1 second delay there before they answered. We actually believe this.
To be here.
Meanwhile, I can't get cell phone service in the mountains here in Colorado.
Okay, Supreme Council of Aldrin have brought the flag.
Later on in the same year, Apollo 12 lands men on the moon for the second time. Then in 1971, both Apollo 14 and 15 successfully land men on the moon. In 1972, both Apollo 16 and 17 also successfully land men on the moon. So that's 6 successful moon landings between 1969 and 1972.
So 6 moon landings. 6. We went to the moon 6 times in less than 4 years here. Okay. All right.
And it just suddenly stops there. In 1981, Masonic...
And we literally haven't been to the moon since, people. You know why? Because NASA said this. Just brace yourselves. We lost the technology to go to the moon from fucking 60 years ago. And it's really hard to rebuild. We used to have it, but we destroyed it. Nothing to see here, people. Like, holy shit, how have we been duped this bad? The whole planet. All right. And then just hearing the term, oh my God, flat Earth. So to be The only okay, this is opposition, okay, to this belief of all this is flat Earth. So it's like that's called a psyop. That's called controlled opposition, right? And you make the controlled opposition look really dumb to make literally psyop the world into making the term flat Earth synonymous with dumbass. When it's totally nope. We just know we haven't been out there to outer space. We're going to hit on this more.
Television, aka MTV, begins, starting right off with the usage of Apollo footage and continuing to use the Apollo program as their theme to further condition the masses on a wide scale, especially the younger generation. Make the Apollo missions cool and hip. Apollo missions, they're the hip thing to do. If MTV wasn't ran out of a Masonic temple, it wouldn't be such a dead giveaway, but they do, and it so happens that many NASA astronauts and employees are Freemasons. Now it's 2018, and nothing has happened since 1972. It's been just over 45 years, and that's a lot of time to be stagnant after 6 back-to-back moon landings. Get this, not only did NASA lose the telemetry data for all the moon landings, but NASA now claims that they lost the technology that got them to the moon.
So they lost all the telemetry data of all the times they went to the moon. We lost it. Oopsie daisy? Really? And they destroyed the technology to go to the moon. And it's like, well, seriously? Really? We had the technology in the 1960s and now we don't? Okay.
In the first place.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
This is why we can't go back.
Whoopsie daisy. I don't think we need to further investigate what the F did he just really say there? Hello? And so they can't go past even Obama. So ever since then, they haven't been able to go past whatever this low Earth orbit or whatever. Okay.
Past low Earth orbit, according to them.
Right now, we only can fly in Earth orbit. That's the farthest that we can go.
The kinds of technologies that we're testing out on Space Station are definitely helping us with our goals of going beyond low Earth orbit.
Early in the next decade, a set of crewed flights will test and prove the systems required for exploration beyond low Earth orbit.
And this is really the beginning, I think, of human beings leaving low Earth orbit.
But I have a hunch as to why we can't leave low Earth orbit. Dome, 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 dome. Dome, 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 dome. Yeah, so they have conceived this idea of a layer of radiation that acts as an impenetrable barrier. It's called the Van Allen radiation belt, and it's code for the firmament. Another thing is that this radiation belt was present for the Apollo missions. So how did they manage to make it through? Let's ask Apollo astronaut Alan Bean.
Okay, so Alan Bean, went to the moon. This guy went to the moon. Just, see if your red flag radar goes off here at his response to this deadly radiation belt. Okay, let's hear his response.
Any ill effects from the Van Allen radiation belts?
No. Now, I'm not sure we went far enough out to encounter the Van Allen radiation belt. Maybe we did.
Beginning at an altitude of 1,000 miles.
So he said, I'm not sure we went far enough out to encounter the radiation belt, but he went to the moon, which is 260,000, supposedly 260,000 miles away. But he didn't go far enough out. That was his response, people. Hello?
Extending an additional 25,000 miles lay lethal bands of radiation called the Van Allen radiation belts. Every space mission in history with humans on board, from both the United States and Soviet Union, from the first in 1961 to the present, has been well below this deadly radiation field. Mercury, Gemini, Soyuz, Skylab, the Space Shuttle, all maintained altitudes well below 1,000 miles. All except Apollo.
I don't know the distance to the Van Allen radiation belt. And if we did, it wasn't a problem. If we were going to encounter it, then we would have had to build the spacecraft and the spacesuit to not get.
He didn't even know what the hell it is. He didn't even know what he was asked, you guys. Like, this shit's so amateur, and we're going to watch some of their videos of when they're out in the space station and outer space, supposedly. It's amateur shit that any Joe Blow kid can detect the fraudulent of the video, and they've been caught a zillion times over creating fraudulent videos.
Give humans a problem. You don't just build something and hope it works. You study to see what the threats are, the environment is, and then you say, how thick do I have to make the metal on the spacecraft so that going through this kind of radiation or these kind of meteoroids, it won't get hurt. And so then we build it that way.
The belts are 1,000 miles to 25,000 miles above the Earth.
We went right out through them.
No effects on your cells.
Didn't even know it. I don't think anybody, well, maybe somebody said you went through the radiation belt, but we didn't feel it inside, and we didn't get any, added radiation.
So you see, Team Apollo didn't know about this deadly radiation belt that would have killed them, so they weren't affected by it. Another interesting aspect of space travel is that it's not possible because thrust and combustion are not viable in a vacuum. Let's review a couple of experiments in a vacuum chamber that prove what I am talking about. First experiment.
I don't even think we need to hit on this, but he's just saying thrust is impossible in a vacuum, which is interesting. He makes interesting points there. Let's move ahead.
So too was Walt.
Okay.
Falls on its face and breaks it, then dies.
It's interesting.
Combustion does not work in a vacuum. This is a very big deal. Space travel falls on its face and breaks it, then dies with these two vacuum chamber experiments.
So we're going to hit on the vacuum here in a bit, and in just a minute, with another awesome dude's channel that I want to promote as well. This odd TV guy, man, I'll tell you what.
Thanks, Cody Slab. Outer space is an occultist dream. In the same way that Jack Parsons was obsessed with magic, so too was Walt Disney. You can see it throughout his work with the likes of Fantasia, and you can still see it to this day with how they advertise for Disney.
With Disney innovation and magic behind them, Disney DVDs are breathtaking, fun, interactive. A world filled with magical entertainment awaits you. The magic is at your fingertips. Disney DVD. Pure digital magic.
Welcome to a whole new world of Disney magic. Pure digital magic.
The magic of Disney this, the magic of Disney that, the Magic Kingdom. They even have a Disney cruise ship called Magic.
Come on, dude. I like freaking Magic Kingdom. Jeez.
And just like Jack Parsons, Walt Disney was fascinated by rockets. Which in the occult circles are modern-day obelisks. Obelisks are erected all over the Earth plane, and they symbolize domination, power, and political authority. The word obelisk translates to Baal's shaft, Baal as in the god or lord. Therefore, an obelisk is a penis. Speaking of penises, in the movie Toy Story, Woody and Buzz come into contact with references to Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. You can see it here on the carpet. It's the same.
So this is just really bizarre on how many references to The Shining that's obvious, super obvious.
Carpet from The Shining, and they did this on purpose. There's a reference to room 237 when Woody is using the computer. Another one on the garbage truck license plate.
It just says room 237. Now I'm interested. I don't believe we had been to the moon, but it was based on the fake looking videos. Exactly. You are also saying we don't have any pictures of Earth from space. That's exactly what I'm saying. We're going to hammer that point home a whole bunch more here in a little bit. That's right. That's right. So, and we're going to hit on Elon. I watched Elon shoot his shuttle. He had the camera rolling for like a good 30 minutes. We're watching it. And the further it went, the less clear everything. And we didn't even hardly know what they were looking at. And guess what they did after like 30 or 40 minutes or something I don't know how long it had been in the air, maybe 30 minutes it had been shooting. Okay. And they always shoot at an angle to go into orbit, right? Is what they say. And then and they have fish-eyed lenses, to make the Earth look round, which I'm not even saying the Earth isn't round necessarily. Okay, but because we know that a zillion people have put GoPros on balloons that go up to as high as you can practically go. Like we're talking 22,000 feet in the air. And the horizon stays perfectly horizontal every time the people do that, unless you turn on the fisheye view, which brings a curve. Okay. And so what the quote unquote flat earthers are saying is no, it's like the horizon is straight horizontal. Okay. So that's their point. And they have like a zillion tons of evidence. So I was watching like a hawk when Elon sent that thing up there, and you barely could start to see, a little curvature of the earth, real minor. Okay. And then guess what they did? We're going to take a 20-minute break from the stream and we'll be back. And it's like, nope, sorry. We need to see it 3 hours. I want for 3 hours straight to just watch it on continuous video into outer space and get raw footage of what the earth actually looks like. They don't have it. It doesn't exist. Okay. And there's a whole bunch more. There's endless evidence every single time they try. So for one, NASA admits that the photos are digitally altered or CGI or altered because they have to. We're going to hit on this. We did last video. Okay. We hit on that one a lot. So they just admit it, but then they've also come out to say, yes, this is raw footage and it's always CGI. And it just amateur video people every single time picks it apart. All the photos from space are always CGI. Always. And we'll Google it. We'll do it. We'll look at it here in a bit. Seriously. We have been completely duped, you guys. That's why I haven't been streaming much here lately, because my head's spinning. All the news, it's awesome stuff going on, but it's like, hang on, just let's finish this. Hang on. So The Shining, all these Toy Story, bizarre. It's bizarre. All these shining clear. This is called Overlook H237. Okay. All right. All the shining stuff everywhere in Toy Story. Weird.
And another on the cameras in the daycare center. This one even says Overlook, the hotel that The Shining took place in. The Shining was Stanley Kubrick's way of saying that he filmed the moon landings. In the movie, there are references to Tang, the drink that the astronauts took to the moon.
Astronauts to the moon.
Little Danny wearing an Apollo 11 sweater and heading for room 237. Another funny thing about Toy Story is that Tom Hanks plays Woody, and the year it came out is the same year that Apollo 13 came out, with Tom Hanks as the lead. And Tom Hanks also was the executive producer, meaning that he was the main producer behind a project for a 1998 miniseries called From the Earth to the Moon. It's pretty clear that Disney and NASA are connected.
Buzz, I can't believe you were actually in space.
Yeah.
It's true. I was the first space ranger to visit the International Space Station.
Way to go, Buzzarino.
Let me show you.
It was a fantastic program between NASA and Disney to send Buzz up and did a tremendous education program, for children all over the world. And I was so proud.
So when you're looking at this timeline, this is the timeline of deception with the space programs of the world, pretending like outer space is a real thing. And
the timeline of deception. He's about to hit this general that went to Antarctica. Antarctica is really interesting here. And we're going to hit on all this here in a little bit.
And you can add in 1928, Richard E. Byrd started exploring Antarctica.
And that's like Major Byrd. He was a part of the military.
And he explored it for years and years and years. And in 1956 was his last expedition to Antarctica. So we can add those two things to the timeline. And just 3 years after Richard Byrd's last expedition to Antarctica, the Antarctic Treaty was established in 1959, just 1 year after NASA was founded. So when you really look at this and pay attention to all this stuff as a whole, you can see that we're being lied to. It seems that they have found the limitations for how far we can travel on this Earth plane and how high we can go in the sky. But don't just take my word for it. I want you to research this. Whether you believe me or you don't believe me, research it for yourself. It becomes very clear that something is going on with the establishment of the Antarctic Treaty right around the time NASA was founded to gatekeep space. It's all there. Just do your own research. Anyway, that's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. I'm Garland.
Trouble in space this morning as the International Space Crew attempted a spacewalk outside the station. Here's a live look at the astronauts. Well,
there's the live look of the astronauts. Oopsie daisy. They had to abandon the space. There, I mean, we can go on. Listen, I've watched hours and days and weeks and months of this stuff here over the last little while. We could go on and on and on with how busted they are, putting out continuous fraudulent nonsense, and they get paid trillions of dollars to cover up this hoax, just like, again, paranormal investigators go through great lengths to fake videos to make it believable. Okay, now why would we want to fake that the Earth is round? We're going to hit on this here in a bit.
Well, I don't believe that. Yeah,
Where's their spacesuit?
My question is, through your career and your writing and your acting, you've inspired so many people to enter the sciences. How do you balance science with science fiction? They're both the same.
One thing. How do you balance science with science fiction? They're both the same. That was like a big science guy. Here's Bill Nye. Bill Nye, who's a big, your typical guy that believes that there's billions and trillions of galaxies and each galaxy has billions of stars, and all this. We can and we see it, we can see all this. We can't give you raw footage of what we're seeing. It's always CGI, but we just promise that we see it. And the CGI is just a service they're doing for us to show everything to us. Okay. Yeah, the Star Trek guy. That's right. Here, I think he's coming.
Thing I really want your generation to embrace is that the Earth is a closed system. We cannot leave the Earth.
One thing I really want your generation to embrace is that the Earth is a closed system. We cannot leave the Earth.
It is Photoshop, but it's has to be.
It is Photoshop, but it has to be. We watched that like 5 times on the last video I did, and just like, that's NASA admitting that it's Photoshopped, and that all of them are Photoshopped because they have to be. And I've looked into the opposite arguments, the people that are saying the flat earthers are a joke. Again, this is why I say your big time flat earth, quote unquote, your flat earth promoter guys are controlled opposition. They are people placed there to look like dumbasses. And what the arguments that come out, they just debunk all their stupid shit and quickly gloss over and say, that's not true. We do have real pictures of the Earth. Here's the top 5 pictures, they'll say, which, by the way, are also Photoshopped 100%. It's like rubber stamped. Even if we have 5, why don't we have 10 million? Why don't we have 100 million? Why aren't we getting millions of shots of the Earth every day? Well, they say we do. We actually do, but the satellites are too close to the Earth. Okay, and so what they have to do is piece them together. They piece them together. They take a whole bunch of different photos and then piece them together. And so they have to, which, no, I want raw photos. We need Trump to sign an executive order, raw photos of outer space only. Because, they just cannot help themselves. Even in the videos where they're showing the raw footage, it's 95% CGI. And then they show the real photos, which are also CGI, that are blurry and they're fake photos. Okay. But as far as the photos of the Earth, they piece it together and they say, this is a pieced together Photoshop photo of a whole bunch of raw photos. Okay. But it's a lie. And if you're going to do that, that's fine. If you're going to do that, I want to see each individual raw photo. Transparency is needed. Then they also have, delayed, slow footage, supposedly all the time. I think we can even go to a website and look at the rotation of the earth. Okay. And we can see it like in a delayed, where it's like the sped up, you can speed up and we can just watch the earth rotating. It's fake CGI, all of it. And it's rubber stamped fake. I mean, I'm all ears. We're going to hit on this some more here. Hang on. So the Simpsons, however, did understand, what was going on here.
Not leave the earth. One thing I really want your generation to embrace is that the earth is a closed system. We cannot leave the earth.
It is Photoshop, but it's has to be.
Wow, Neil Armstrong. Hey, wait a minute. You're supposed to be on the moon. I just saw it on TV.
Oh, there's a tape delay, and with all the solar winds.
She always loved the pictures.
It's an old federal textbook. We've replaced them with the corrected versions.
Corrected.
Explaining how the Apollo missions were fake.
Folks, it's an honor for me to be working in this studio. This is the very soundstage where we faked the moon landing. And the JFK assassination. No, I'm sorry, this is where we planned the JFK assassination.
Why has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
Because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened.
Thanks for tuning in to ODD TV. Please be sure to like and share.
We didn't go there. Okay. So, we can hit on this some more here. So, this guy is another phenomenal channel. It's called The Truth is Stranger Than Fiction. This guy is the bomb. Must follow. Lots of good stuff. Okay.
Or out of.
All right. So he makes a very, very, very simple point on this video. One super simple point. But it's like, if you let it sink in, and what it is that we have no continuous footage. We have the footage of astronauts in their space station getting their suits on. Okay. And then they stop the footage. They break the seal, and where the vacuum happens and where they go into outer space. There's no continuous footage of that ever happening, ever recorded. And this is a really important point, because that should be the main footage. That should be one of the most anticipated things, is seeing the lock break, to go into the void. This is important. Oh, the playback speed is 1.25. Okay. Look at how fake.
In Hollywood science fiction films, some of the most exciting sequences involve going into or out of the airlock. And this really isn't all that surprising. I mean, the airlock is a pretty amazing concept. It's the door to space. One of the most crucial mechanical components of any spacecraft or space station. That thing which separates the relative safety of being inside from the perilous vacuum of space. So this has been something that's been nagging away at me for quite a few weeks now. One of my more recent little obsessions, if you will, because it's prompted me to start to wonder if in any of the footage of the so-called real spacewalks, or EVAs, extravehicular activities, in any of the space programs, because I've been wondering if I could actually find a singular piece of footage which undeniably shows the astronaut going from inside the craft or space station, being in the artificial atmosphere with inside the cabin, to putting on his spacesuit and having the airlock open and then floating out to the exterior. You would think that this would be a simple enough piece of footage to find. After all,
I mean, shouldn't that be a simple piece of footage to find? Hello? It doesn't exist. We have photos, we have videos, continual footage, not 360 though, by the way. They don't pan around their space station in 360 views, and they're putting on the spacesuit and everything. Okay. And these astronauts have cameras on their chest and on their helmet and stuff only when they're already outside. Why not roll the cameras when you break the lock, then go outside, and then they're looking around with the chest camera, the helmet cameras, but they refuse to show them going out with breaking the lock. Nothing to see there?
2015 marked the 50th anniversary of the first EVAs in history. That's 50 years of spacewalks now. And you'd think that there should be copious amounts of footage from handheld cameras or other cameras showing uncut, unedited, continuous shots of any astronaut going from within the cabin outside into space. So this is what I've been looking for, scouring as much footage from the early Gemini and Russian EVA missions to Apollo to the space shuttle and then on to the Mir and International Space Station missions. And sure enough, I can't say that as of yet I found anything which represents this kind of unedited, continuous shot. We can find lots of footage taken from outside showing the astronauts supposedly exiting the hatch. And we can find footage of the astronauts prepping and putting on their suits in what is clearly an air-filled environment. But the question of trying to find something which shows them undeniably going from the interior pressurized cabin out into the vacuum of space, for the life of me, I cannot find this. And again, when we consider how many Hollywood movies incorporate scenes involving the airlock, because just how much danger is involved, and not to mention how much just personal excitement would be experienced on the part of the astronaut getting their first look at space from outside the vehicle, it's really hard to comprehend that no one ever considered capturing such a piece of footage. If I were to come across footage that seemed to undeniably show this, it'd be really hard to explain it away. It would be a really difficult thing to fake. And that's the whole point. Because if you are familiar with all the kinds of critical observation that has been done on things like the ISS or so many of these other space missions involving space bubbles and harnesses and all these very peculiar anomalies, it makes a lot of sense. Because obviously the ways that they are having to try and fake the interior shots of the ISS or any other spacecraft or space station with simulated zero gravity would be quite different from the ways that they fake the outside shots using blackout pools and things like this. So going seamlessly from an interior shot in an air-filled cabin to a pool filled with water obviously would pose a whole host of problems. So one thing I found that was very interesting was this sequence showing an episode which I believe occurred on the Russian Mir space station. And apparently this was a very harrowing ordeal because there was a malfunction with the airlock. And the astronauts came back in from an EVA and were unable to secure the door all the way and repressurize the cabin. So they were starting to run out of air, and it was a bit of a panic mode trying to get that figured out. And then eventually they came inside a further interior door and were able to lock it down, But the funny thing is that this whole sequence is basically just a dramatic reenactment. We don't actually see the real footage of this event, and you can tell pretty easily that it's a reenactment because of all the camera shots that are focusing directly in on their helmets. And even in the reenactment, they're showing that the people inside the space station and people down at mission control have cameras inside the airlock who can see, who are watching what the astronauts are doing. So you would think that the real live footage would be perfectly available from all kinds of angles and would make for a much more realistic portrayal of this event. So the question is, why would they reenact the whole thing if instead of just showing the real footage? So by itself, I suppose this whole question might not be a definitive proof all by itself that they are indeed faking these spacewalks and space stations and everything, but I find it to be another very interesting example of these kinds of proofs by way of omission. Just like we never see astronauts pulling 360s out in space with a handheld camera, or the same thing on the moon. They never do a 360 and do a panoramic shot. But the question is why? I mean, in this day and age now where they have GoPro cameras that can be hooked onto the astronaut's forehead or on the outside of the suit, and we actually have lots of examples of this. And I found one where the GoPro is on the astronaut while he's being prepped and having the suit put on. And then once again, we see the GoPro camera recording the EVA for over an hour worth of spacewalk when he's outside the space station. But for whatever reason, they failed to include those very intense moments when the airlock is first depressurized and the doors opened and they're floating through. Wouldn't a POV shot like that be great stuff for showing the excitement of space exploration and being an astronaut? Wouldn't you want to record the reaction of an astronaut's first experience of seeing the stars just through the visor of his?
Look at this of the Earth. Anybody who knows anything about photography and how to fake photos and stuff will tell you this is completely CGI back here of the Earth, or photoshopped.
Space helmet and floating out into the vastness of space, only tethered to the space station by a tiny strap or whatever. It's the more you think about it, it's really hard to imagine. We should have tons of examples of this, and yet it's always cut away. It's always interior and then cut to exterior. So why nothing continuous? I mean, if this is such a routine thing now, then I should be able to see them going in and out all the time.
They don't want you to criticize. They don't want you to put a critical thinking cap on. They don't want this looked into. Here's what they want: 100% submission. They just believe the narrative. Do not you dare question us. They don't want people having to be able to criticize this stuff. They don't even allow scientists to disagree. You'll lose your licenses. They won't let you be a scientist. You have to adhere. That is fascist dictators. That's how this works. So again, they have GoPros, they attach them to their suits. They're out there working on the space station and doinking around with GoPros on their suits. Why don't we show the breaking of the lock and the hatch, the most anticipated part of the whole thing, and then in real time going out into space? They don't show it. So here's what we've got coming around the corner is AI will be able to produce this stuff. And this is what worries me about AI. Those who control the information hold all the power. Any basic AI, by the way, just like AI can now help detect fraudulent videos of aliens or paranormal or ghosts, they can detect how, things are cut or spliced or photoshopped. And I watch shows of people doing it on paranormal debunking ghost videos, scary ghost videos from Nuke's Top 5. And, you know, it's hilarious watching these guys pick him to pieces. And all he does is put on an investigator's hat like a detective, and he just picks them apart. It's even easier. Unfortunately, the ghost hunters do a better job of being more convincing of the ghosts on cameras than on NASA's bullshit that they've been putting out there for decades and unquestioned. And then so they say, "Oh, what do you believe in? Flat Earth? Durr? Are you the biggest dumbass on the earth?" It's a psyop. So here are some of the arguments you can just ignore, because scientists are completely blocked from disagreeing from this narrative of Earth is a sphere and we're in outer space, one of just a gazillion, billion, trillion, Google billion, trillion stars and Earths, and we can see all that thousands and thousands and millions of light years, billions of light years away. We know this, you know, we can see all this shit out there. All right. It's bogus. We can't even get a good look at Jupiter. Okay. Because all those are fake, even though they say, as we covered in the last video, oh my God, an amazing new discovery. Amazing new discovery, people. Jupiter has a fuzzy core. Even though we don't even know what the hell the Earth's core is actually like. And 95% of the Earth's oceans are basically unexplored, you know, but we sent Juno right on out there to Jupiter. And even though Jupiter has the largest ocean in the solar system, apparently, and the ocean is made of mercury, liquid mercury, okay, we were able to somehow see below the liquid mercury and know that the core of Jupiter, that's 19 times bigger than the Earth, apparently, is fuzzy, baby. We know this. We know this. Okay, it's all nonsense. You're better off believing in Nuke's Top 5 ghost shows that are also proven fake. This is not, and they don't want you to question it. Here are some narratives of created, why do I keep forgetting the phrase? Controlled opposition. Flat Earth. Well, the reason why Flat Earth is even coined is because over and over and over and over and over and over and over, the curvature of the Earth keeps being debunked as we get better telescopes, better cameras that can zoom in for, tens or hundreds of miles. Okay. And we can just see but the real truth of it is, forget about the shape of the Earth. Nobody's really saying they know the shape of the Earth. Okay. So get it out of your mind. It's a psyop. We don't even have a map. Like these people, they claim to have maps and stuff. Well, what the hell do we know about the map? We don't know what the map is. All right. No, and nobody really knows what the hell's going on, except if you create a sphere, what you can do is leave certain parts of the Earth out of it. So we don't know that certain parts exist, including, we don't know there's a lot of stuff. You can go down the rabbit hole of what the hell is going on in Antarctica. There's a lot there. It's a no-fly zone. People, they're obviously covering something up, obviously, because they're just covering it up. You can't go there. It's a no-fly zone. And the governments are all like in cahoots. What other places might not be showing up on the map? Okay. We don't know what the hell's going on. So there's a lot of claims that have been debunked. I would maybe about the Earth and the moon and the sun. Okay. But there's endless of perfectly valid questions, to say the least, about a lot of different things, like the rays of the sun coming down, a whole bunch of different things. If you watch my last video, I did. It's a 3-hour long video. This one won't be that long. So why else would they want to cover this up? They can hide land. Okay. They also have been talking, they've been prepping us. They've been leaking alien invasion. Ronald Reagan used to say many times, we can all be unified. All the nations of Earth can be unified against if aliens were attacking the Earth, that would unify all of us, right? And so everyone's like, oh yeah, we would be one in peace with China and whoever. We would all unify on one common enemy, the alien invasion. That's been pumped out there for decades and decades and decades. It's called Project Bluebeam. We'll be talking about that. That's another reason why they would create this hoax. Another reason just purely is NASA is a money laundering scheme. Let's hope Elon, let Doge get in there. All right. So Elon, how did Elon, there's other reasons. There's lots of reasons to say, the Earth is, right out here, way out here in just the middle of nowhere, and we're nothing special. I mean, the arrogance and the audacity to say the universe revolves around the Earth, that's just, as human beings, we're just prideful like that and arrogant. We're just a little dot out here and we're nothing special. That's by design. That narrative could be by design. Not that what the fuck do I know? Okay. But it could be by design to make people into nothing. You're a cosmic mistake that happened not 13.2 billion years ago. Nope. 13.8 billion years ago. But as we know, Lucky Duck did his research, and he's actually showing the Earth is more like 28.675 billion years old, and we just know that. And I mean, the universe is. The Earth, though, however, no, it's not 4.6 billion years old, people. It's either 4.8 billion years old. We know this. This nonsense. No. Oh. Scientists now say it's 5.1 billion years old. In other words, we were wrong then, but now we're right. They say it so matter-of-factly, as we watch all these videos. These guys are so matter-of-fact, they know. They are the ones that trust the science. You little peons that are just cosmic goops and mistakes. We're just a cosmic mistake spinning out here randomly, going 800,000 miles per hour through outer space, spinning around, going all, It's like, wait a second. Wait a second. All right, wait. So we have these satellites that can see billions of light years away, but we can't show you the raw footage, boys and girls. It's all CGI, but we do that because we have to, you know what I'm saying? We just gotta we're able to see it, but then we have to translate to you what we're seeing with CGI. And it's literally like a little kid writing a comic book, except they love having the authority that this is real. This is science. It's the only difference between the Marvel creator or the Star Wars creator or J.R. Tolkien writing Lord of the Rings and writing new languages and creating languages just for the book and having a world map. And then there's, Middle Earth and this other over here. And, he's like, this imagination is running wild. That's what we have. And these scientists with their PhDs will wax eloquent for hours and days with all their algorithms and math equations and to prove their point. It's wild. Yeah, never really dug into it. Guess I figured that with thousands of satellites out there, we covered the satellites last time. NASA is the number one purchaser of helium. And a lot of the satellites are just floating out there on helium balloons. But maybe there are satellites in low Earth orbit. I don't know. Right. So they're equipped with cameras and they photograph the Earth. And then they even give us like sped up where the Earth is rotating. We get to see it, and it's like sped up time. We get to see that. It's CGI'd. It's totally fake. It's totally freaking fake. Oh, it's crazy. And it's like, why? Well, why would they lie about this? There's other reasons too. The money laundering scheme, the controlling of the information, the hiding of land, Project Bluebeam, making, everybody inferior, like that we don't matter, we're a cosmic mistake. You could go on and on imagining why they would fake this. There's a lot of reasons. Okay, we'll cover this some more. So if you take issue with his point in this video that we don't have any continual video of them breaking the seal and going in, from a space station into the great unknown, the void. Okay, he's just saying, hey, I'm all ears. Show me the footage. Let's see it. And here's what I'm going to say. It's too late. It's too late. You've been lying about this for too long. It's too late. What are they covering up? It's fact. It's rubber stamped. I hope as AI advances, it'll be honest, because AI, there's a lot of videos on the AI debunking that we went to the moon, debunking these videos. Okay. I'm just worried they'll control the narrative that the AI tells us. The AI is like is going to replace critical thinking. It already is. Just Google has already replaced this. They psyop us. That's what they did with the vaccines. And I've done a lot of coverage on how I've seen a lot of a good recently, a whole bunch more just great psyops to show you guys what they do. There's some new ones I could show right now. They psyop. It's psyops, psyop after psyop after psyop. So, and there's a lot of reasons. The reasons go endless on why to cover this up. You can let the people say whatever they want, but they cannot debunk the fake pictures of Earth. All the fake footage of them being in outer space, it's all fake. It's bogus. It's picked apart by amateur videographer, video detectives, your basic amateur people that debunk or look at footage of much more complex things will quickly debunk this nonsense from NASA. We want an edited, uncut version of opening the seal. Period. No excuses. But even if they do it, it's fake because it's too late. They've had their chance for years. They've been hoaxing this and staging this. This is the biggest hoax probably in world history. And they make you think you're a dumbass. They've masterfully created flat earthers as synonymous with dumbass. Forget about flat earth. Get it out of your mind. Period. It's a psyop, people. We're duped. We grow up with balls of earth, with globes that we're in school in first grade. We see, we spin around the earth. We've been psyoped our whole life with this. Period. Okay. Gaslighting me with psyops. All right. My buddy just sent. This is funny. Let's watch this real quick. Okay. Come on, baby. Here, let's finish this real quick. Yep. You would love to see it. So look, people will criticize the map, the flat earth map. Forget about it. We don't know what the hell the map is. They'll criticize, some valid criticisms of plane flights. Okay. Maybe the earth is round. Who the hell knows? Okay. But we know this much. We need answers. It's 100%. Okay. Not 100%. 99.9% rubber stamped. They have been duping us without question. All right.
It's tyranny in motion.
Fourth generational warfare.
That's terrifying you and me.
Manipulating someone online.
Manufacturing emotion.
I like that.
Propaganda is persuading me. They guided me with psyops.
Psychological operations.
They guided me with psyops. They weaponize psychology.
201 mass shootings, and it's only May.
The truth.
This will be weaponized.
When I'm watching news of war.
That's disinformation. False flag operations.
Internet trolls.
Disinformation.
Psyops.
Yeah, we're watching news of war. One of the things Jesus said was, you will hear of wars and rumors of wars, which means it's just a rumor. Okay. And so, we're thank God for Twitter and free speech, and hopefully it stays free. I have heard reports of some censoring happening on Twitter, but I can't confirm it. I don't think it's happening, but that would be a problem if they're censoring shit on Twitter too. All right. Because we could literally think World War IV or whatever is happening and millions of people are dying out there. And how the hell would we know otherwise? Those who control the information hold all the power.
The psychological operation, accessing and affecting the brain.
Unelected criminals.
Propaganda. It's become a tool of war.
Psyops.
Psyop.
Psyops. Well, now I gotta drink the potion. If I want normality, they lead me by emotion.
Painfully evident.
I must obey the TV screen.
Psyops.
They guided me with psyops.
Voice the skull, that's a real thing.
They gaslight me with psyops. I'm following the programming. Just look at my.
Okay, so gaslighting. This is gaslighting me with psyops. That's the name of this video by Media Bear here. All right, let's follow him. Gaslighting is a form of psychological abuse that involves manipulating someone into questioning their own reality. The goal is to make the victim doubt their own thoughts, feelings, and sanity. Okay? Gaslighting is the manipulation of someone into questioning their own perception of reality. The expression, which derives from the title of the 1944 film Gaslight, became popular in the mid-2010s. Some mental health experts have expressed concern that the term has been used too broadly. Okay, so gaslighting. We've already seen now people are opening their eyes, but how deep does this rabbit hole go?
Twitter feed.
Fighting misinformation.
Psyops.
Clock and dagger activity, Hollywood style.
They control what's happening.
Psychological operations group.
This is what USAID does. It was all released, even the CIA playbook of how they do this. They spread disinformation campaigns, they create chaos, they sow division, they divide, they conquer, they own both sides, they control the psyop, and then they also control the controlled opposition. It's controlled opposition. So the controlled opposition in this case is dumbass flat earthers that say a bunch of stupid shit that's easily debunkable. Okay, that sound good, like a fine sounding argument, and then a guy can just come and trump him and make him look like the biggest dumbass ever because he is a dumbass and he's kind of a jackass. A lot of these flat earth guys are kind of assholes, right? And so they're easy to hate. It's controlled opposition. They control both sides of the narrative. They make flat earth, it just seeded into our brain as the epitome of dumbassery. No one's saying, I mean, people are, I guess, saying they know the shape of the earth. I'm saying most people are just kind of saying, no, something's wrong here. We don't know what the shape of the earth really is. It could fucking, for all I know at this point in life, up is down, down is up. It could be fucking triangle or square. Who the fuck knows? Okay. Because we've been gaslighted so hard. All right. So there's a lot of reasons though. And that's why it turns into being flat earth, because they say the horizon is flat from all the times when they debunk the fisheye lens of the curvature, or they debunk the curvature because we can just stand on a seashore with really high powered cameras and telescopes and just look for tens of miles, or even in some cases hundreds of miles, and be like, nope, no curvature. And it's endless. I mean, thousands of that. You can just go buy a $4,000 high powered camera, go stand on the beach, and your mind will be blown how far you can see. 20 miles on the ocean, a boat down there, 20 miles down there. And you see the base of the boat, even where the boat is in the water. Stuff like that. Okay.
Psyops. A problematic notion.
Psychological operation.
In reaction to the thing. Now here comes a solution. Your brain is a commodity.
The psyop soldiers.
They're guiding me with psyops.
She's playing within the rules.
They're guiding me with psyops.
That seems dishonest.
And hit me with technocracy.
PSYOPs troops have been placed in CNN's newsroom.
I'm not sure who opposes that effort.
I think you're describing a different channel than the one that I watch.
Good heavens, misinformation. You're beautiful. I don't believe it. Here they go again. They scrubbed the web, and now I can't find anything. My attitude, my desires.
they scrubbed the web and now we can't even fucking find what we found before. They do that, man.
Or pamphlet news. They radicalized my notions. But it's weaponized emotion.
It's weaponized emotion. They radicalized his thoughts and questions. They will radicalize you. This is all part of the psyop, all part of the gaslighting.
Disinformation boards.
You're calling it conspiracy. Asleep in the commotion. Your silence is alarming me. Oh.
You know, one of the things that really hit me the hardest here recently, as I've kind of been resurrecting, is that I remember somebody told me 15 years ago, before the Epstein stuff hit, this person was telling me about Alex Jones and how Alex Jones is a part of the same system. This is what they do. It's controlled opposition. Of course, they make him look like a lunatic, but then they'll also feed him proper information of something wild and crazy. Everybody will think he's crazy, and then he turns out being right years later. And this person told me that eventually Alex Jones will be like a mainstream news guy. I mean, absolutely pegged it. My mind is blown every time I watch Alex Jones. It is hands down the best news show. Okay. And he's just a news guy now. He's not, talking about all this crazy stuff like he used to when I had barely heard him in the past my whole life. And he would be talking about aliens like invading and just crazy stuff or whatever. I don't even remember I just thought he was kind of crazy. Now it's like he's been right about everything. Okay. But I still get the heebie-jeebies. I love him. I love the show. Even I'm buying some of his vitamins and shit. I want to support him and stuff. But it's like he said it again yesterday that he's out of money. I mean, he's got hundreds of millions of views in a day. Oftentimes, he's the best salesman on earth. The effectiveness of his advertising is unequivocally, I can just wake up for a second and pause, is unequivocally the most effective advertising in media, period. Okay. Is Alex Jones's advertising. He's the best sales guy on earth. Just think for a second, all these people like Megyn Kelly was making tens of millions of dollars a year. Her contract was like $70 million or something. Rachel Maddow just took a pay cut, is making $24 million a year for one show per week. It's like, wait, what the hell? How much are these media people actually making? Especially when she's on a crappy, one that doesn't even get that many views. Just imagine one that gets a lot of views. The effectiveness of that media and the effectiveness when it's really good sales pitch. And it's the best. It's literally the best shill you'll ever hear in your whole life. And it's like with the best narrative behind it, like, oh my God, I've been persecuted by these damn lefties. And you can't disagree with anything he's even saying. He has proof. In court, they tried to shut him down, proof from the CIA, from the FBI. They targeted him and they stole all his money straight up. We have the proof. He's right. He's literally right. Even the CIA guy said he's got no money now. He's broke. I don't care if he was broke last month, even. Every day they are raking in millions of dollars. You're telling me he's in the red? Nope. Sorry. Not going to buy that. Okay. Even though I love his show, I love the Harrison Smith and Owen Schroyer, is like, especially Harrison Smith. He's just, the way he words things is so well done and it's great, right? But wait, somebody told me 15 years ago and everybody thought he was completely crazy, that he was actually controlled opposition and was owned by the same people. Somebody also told me back in 20 2018, when Elon Musk was anti-Trump back then, very outspoken about it. He said, no, dude, just follow the money. Elon Musk and Trump have to be close. They have to be, because they're like in all the same businesses together. Just follow the money. Well, Elon Musk was preaching against Trump. Hardcore, like it was war back then. It was awful. They just were trying to sabotage everything Trump was trying to do. He had all the wrong people in his corner that sabotaged his whole presidency practically, even though he still, in my opinion, went way above and beyond, what I could have ever imagined. Yeah. High-tech consumer drones that could be networked together and share footage worldwide. Yeah. And server and figure this out, right? Obviously, right? Crypto Viking, right? Hello? Obviously, we should have, there's no excuse we don't have millions of raw footage of the Earth as a ball out there, like they say they do, with all their fake pictures that NASA says we have to fake them because of all their reasons. They give reasons. There's an argument to the other side. I could be wrong. All right. Maybe they are real, but they're not, because they're all debunked by you can just search. And now they've been censored. All the quote unquote flat earth, the dumbasses, flat earthers have been deplatformed. They've been censored. In Congress demanded that Google deals with this flat earth problem. We can't let this misinformation get out there. If it's that obvious, why are they so concerned about censoring it? If there's a movement, a 2 + 2 = 5 movement, and we had a bunch of people believing in 2 + 2 = 5, nobody would give a flipping F, because it actually is just stupid. Okay. It would be completely ignored. Why the need for Congress to make it such a big deal to censor Google against the flat earthers, if it's really that dumb? Well, I mean, all these people everywhere believe in it, so this is a problem. Oh, really? You see what we already saw this happen with COVID, with vaccines. We saw it happen with Ukraine. I mean, Putin was the next coming of Hitler. I mean, that's all we knew of, right? Putin was the next Stalin in there, just trying to steal countries away and bombing the hell out of country. Well, we got to go fight against this tyrant. This was just branded into our brains from Obama, especially. It was like he was wanting to go to war with Russia. And now we hear the narrative has changed quite a lot. I'll tell you that. Quite a lot. How about Israel? We don't even know what the hell's going on out there. We know Hamas is evil and there's a lot of evil shit going on, but I mean, what the hell do we really know? It's like, it's wild. All this is wild. I mean, they could have World War III going on, whatever, and we don't know it, or they could just be faking footage. There's a lot of this. This happened in World War II. That most of the World War II footage we have is also faked. The only real footage that we actually have of World War II, like on the land, are like people getting out of a boat and running up, the beach. That's about it. Whereas when we watch the movies, they're getting out of the boats and there's bombs and bullets flying everywhere and holy shit, and millions of people are dying. 6 million Jews, but wait, there wasn't even that many Jews in existence. Like, so what's real? What's not? We have been so psyop. So now we've got Trump and Elon just doing awesome things, man. Like you have to just be praising Jesus, singing it's Christmas every day. You can't disagree with anything they're doing. I'm here for it, baby. I'm all here for it. I'm rooting for them. and Elon, and all that. They're just, from everything we see, Elon bought Twitter, made free speech free. It's like one of the best things he could have ever done for mankind. And all this, he's doing so many great things. I love it. He's taken on the evil, woke, mind virus nonsense garbage. They're doing all the right things, man. They're just crushing it. My mind's blown. JD Vance is crushing it. We got Tulsi Gabbard through. We got RFK. I love these people. They're like the freaking X-Men, baby. Let's go. RFK, they're exposing the vaccines. RFK is going to stand up against the vaccine promoting cabal, which is exactly what it is. That silences scientists. Scientists, they silence their work. They censor their science and their data. They do that. Instead of science at the very foundation, the 101 of science is you always test the science. You test it. You let it be tested. You let it be tested. You let it be tested. And that includes, by the way, the earth, in the outer space. You let it be. You don't censor. That's anti-science to censor. So it's awesome. They're doing all these great things, but we got to be careful. Could this be a real elaborate, let's go? Could this be a real super elaborate, long-standing nonsense of woke nonsense and all this and that and wars, and so that now we can get a common sense guy in the White House with the common sense team of X-Men kicking ass. They're cleaning up the vaccines. They're cleaning up all the poison in our food. He's gonna deal with the chemtrails, all these damn chemtrails and all the shit we do to our food. And we're making chickens now with chemicals and selling it. They're not even real chickens. Baby, get in here. This is my son. Let's go. Start over 2x speed, baby. This is wild, Elisha. Let's go. So chemtrails, we got RFK is going to deal with the pharmaceutical cabal, all these pharmaceutical companies. He's going to deal with the vaccines and make vaccines great again, baby. He's going to deal with all the poison in the food, right? The system, the cabal, the CIA and USAID and whoever the hell killed John F. Kennedy, his uncle, and his dad, Bobby Kennedy. Would RFK Jr. then join sides with the beast? I'll call it the beast. The beast being synonymous with the Illuminati, with the globalist, the Marxist, the powers that be, the deep state. I'll just call it the beast. Okay. And would Bobby Kennedy Jr. team up with the beast that killed his family? I hope not. So I'm like, I am rooting for this, baby. I'm here for it. Let's go. I'm like, clean up our vaccines, our food, our schools, the Department of Education, the woke nonsense, men competing against women in sports, and, all the evil wasting of our tax dollars. It's all like pretty much all $6 trillion of our tax dollars. I bet we could actually function on like $10 billion. Our government could, or $50 billion or something, instead of $7 trillion. It's all waste. It's all nonsense. It's all lies. Everything's a lie for our whole lives. We are deep in this world. Could it be that Satan did tell Jesus when he tempted Jesus, this whole world is mine and I can give it all to you if you just bow to me, Jesus. So wait, this is Satan's world we're in. What the fuck can we even do? That's one way of looking at it. And they're all just a part of the system. We can't escape it. So I'm just saying, I'm loving it. I'm loving everything they're doing. Like hardly anything is even debatable what they're doing. And they're doing it in just Mach 10 speed. Trump is freaking the road runner, and the left mind virus is like Wile E. Coyote trying to catch the road runner. He's killing it, baby. We got people just coming into their own. We've seen it. We've seen all these people really come into their own, like Alex Jones and InfoWars. We've seen Tucker Carlson really come to his own. Benny Johnson, Megyn Kelly, Trish Reagan. Like we've seen Dan Bongino, baby. He's just like in the zone. He's coming. It's like hand in glove, and they are just flying. It's like we just see the world coming to life again. We're all getting excited. We can send, maybe we'll be able to send our kids to school without them trying to chop off their gonads and their boobs. They're not going to go, turn our dudes into girls and our girls into dudes at school. Wow. And they're going to fight against all the human sex trafficking that's insane, rampant going on everywhere. We're going to stop psyoping our own people, signing executive orders, no more misinformation and disinformation against the American people. They're going out there to the EU. They're facing them head on, baby. The EU, the terrorist organization. We just had JD Vance go out there and rip him a new one. I mean, he just brought the house down, and he did it with grace and poise. It was phenomenal. We got Donald Trump went out there and he spoke, on camera to Davos, to the WEF, the World Economic Forum, and throat punched them, baby. He signed day one, signed an executive order to get out of the World Health Organization. Get out of here, baby. We're not going to censor our American people. We're bringing back free speech. Freedom's coming back. We're doing away with the IRS. No more taxes. Let's do away with property tax. This is all the shit we've been dreaming of for years. Oh, we're going to declassify all the government stuff. We're just going to come clean about 9/11, about Martin Luther King and, the CIA and all the bullshit. And we're going to get rid of all the corrupt DOJ. We're going to stop, going and destroying other countries and psyopsing and putting in like dictators and starting wars and all this stuff. Right? I mean, it's too good to be true, right? I mean, it literally is too good to be true. But could it all be controlled opposition? Makes me nervous, because how can you not root for it? And then at the same time, how can you not root for just good people, like businesses thriving again, people having jobs, getting the corruption out of the government? The corruption, it's going to be a process. It's going to take 12 years, though, by the way. But we've got it now. We're going to have, they're going to clean up the elections. We're going to stop the voting fraud. We're going to make people have an ID and go vote. You can't mail in 12 ballots and all the bullshit that's been going on. And all right, there's going to be systems of processes of checks and balances so we can actually make legit elections. And it's like right now, it's like 75 to 80% probably right now are Republicans going to vote for it. And we kind of need that much. It's going to take at least 12 years to clean up the bureaucracy mess and all the corruption. Okay. And so there's a lot of power in their hands, because who in their right mind wouldn't be rooting for all this, right? We don't want to be, putting in dictators in Guatemala and Cuba and wherever the hell else, and all that, they're fighting against all the corruption and evil all over the world. They're arresting, instead of arresting people for social media posts and right-wing, having right-wing opinions, we're going to arrest actual criminals and deport them out of the country. And, hello, who's not for all this? Whew. But it's like I'm hoping. Because what else can we do anyways, really? If that's true, that, the beast is also in control of Trump and Elon. And what can we do anyways at that point? It's like, but don't be unaware of the enemy's schemes. Do not be unaware of their schemes. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I voted for Biden 6 times in some other states. I love it, man. Right. That they've done a lot of anonymous studies, a whole bunch of them. And at least 20%, it was like 15 to 20%. It's like, in some cases, like 25% of people just admitted of multiple votes that they did voting fraud. Anonymously, straight up. We could go on the voting fraud for 48 hours straight with all the evidence of voting fraud. And so, they got a lot of power in there right now, and it's not going to stop, and I'm loving it. But what's going on with how does Elon go from $100 billion net worth to $460 billion? Is that even true? Elon is now worth $460 billion. Is that for real? And it's from like his SpaceX stuff. So that is cause for concern. If they're lying about that, he conveniently took a 20-minute break when he shot that thing out there in outer space a few weeks ago. I watched it. I mean, like a hawk the whole time. A few weeks ago, like, I don't know, a month ago or something like that. He shot it and we watched it, and it had like millions of people like, wow, watching it go on up there into outer space. And then they took a 20-minute break. We'll be back. Then when you come back, you don't even know what the hell you're looking at. I'm just saying, we just got to be careful. There's nothing we can do anyways, if that's really true. So hell, let's just enjoy the golden age while we can, boys and girls. Stay vigilant.
Gaslighting me with psyops. Gaslighted me with psyops. Gaslighting me with
Psychological operation.
Only get inside that brain of yours.
Okay. Okay. Oh, that's great. Propaganda for high school kids in 1948. I could come back to that. Okay, but here's another perfect example of a psyop.
Until we listen to the
President Trump wrote on Twitter, "Don't be afraid of COVID. Don't let it dominate your life." Don't let it dominate your life?
In terms of responding to a comment like that, it's gross.
It's okay to be afraid of COVID, and it's okay that it's dominating your life.
It's okay. Like, shame on you. Shame on you.
Everyone should be afraid of COVID.
You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free.
I can't come in, Mom. It's because of this flu thing.
We won't be free of this pandemic until we listen to the acknowledged truth. Listen to the scientists.
Science is truth. Science is truth.
Except don't listen to the 10,000 scientists that tried to object from their narrative that were literally censored. Just ignore those 10,000 scientists and doctors.
What is the impact to public health when people are openly questioning the science?
Now is the time to do what you're told.
You mean that when scientists and doctors are questioning the science, right? So again, don't forget this, people. What is rule number 1 with science? It's always tested. You test it and retest it and reconfirm and retest. Always. Period. Science doesn't censor speech. Science doesn't censor testing. That's how we got psyoped.
By not hearing the truth, by not listening to the scientists, they are prolonging how bad.
So people were fighting over toilet paper and beating people up for not wearing masks and forcing vaccinations.
The economy will be.
That when I see somebody out in the world who's not wearing a mask, I instantly think you are a threat, or you are selfish, or you are a COVID denier, and you definitely haven't been vaccinated.
Either wear a mask or
What does this have? Are you vaccinated?
I am triple vaccinated.
So why are you wearing the mask?
Seek out.
Yeah, I'm vaccinated. Yeah. Why are you wearing a mask if you're vaccinated? We haven't hit on the health of wearing a mask. Not good. Breathing in your CO2 all day. Not good. I think I did briefly hit on that in one video, maybe. So, I mean, they cause people to get violent. I mean, these motherfuckers are basically murderers who aren't wearing masks. You're a murderer. I call for violence against these COVID deniers, science deniers.
The scientists and listen to their advice.
Listen to scientists. Listen to the scientists.
Trust the experts.
We're going to trust science. We're going to trust the experts.
Parents who say, well, I need to do my own research, makes you think of that cartoon I saw of the tombstone that said, I did my own research.
Republicans have given their voters license to believe whatever they want to believe.
Heard somebody saying, listen to the scientists.
We can't have that. We can't have people believing whatever they want to believe. Oh my God.
Do that.
Let's listen to the scientists.
That phrase, do your own research, it's popping up a lot in conversations about coronavirus and about COVID vaccines. Doing your own research, it seems so innocent, but it can have serious consequences. Renee, what are the roots of this phrase? I feel like I used to hear it around QAnon craziness.
Doing your own research, people, can have serious consequences. Listen and obey. Classic. And people are stupid enough to follow this. You know that, I mean, we're easily at 30 million people now who have died from the COVID vaccine. Straight up. I mean, endless studies. There's like a new study that pops up from universities, by the way, from people that they've had to take down all their bullshit that they pumped propaganda into us. It's all lies. And you need to own it, you dumbass motherfuckers that push this fucking bullshit on the world. 30 fucking million people have died.
Tase somebody over a mask.
Tase
this lady over not wearing a damn mask.
If some
tase their ass, they're not wearing a mask. That's how stupid the human population is. How duped we got.
Jerk exposed my mother to COVID because they didn't want to wear a mask. I would want to kill them.
We can watch the experts, but we shouldn't be listening to Trump, a non-medical professional.
Well, the answer is listen to Bill Gates. Bill's right around about a lot of things, and he's at the steep learning curve in global health.
And we're really seeing just how important it is to follow.
We need to listen to Dr. Bill Gates. Wait. He doesn't even have a college education. My bad. But he made how much money on vaccines? Oh, okay. Yeah, we need to listen to Bill Gates. Nothing to look at here, boys and girls.
Science.
Yes, exactly. And we need to listen to scientists.
The idea that people are questioning the science behind the vaccine.
The science checks out. Even if you don't believe in the science, you think you're tough enough and you're healthy enough and you're young enough. The scientists were right all along. Eventually, the science catches up with you. Are we doing
the science? They literally made dancing vaccine people. Humanity is hopeless, boys and girls. I mean, Good God.
Doing more harm than good by questioning the science behind J&J.
Trust that vaccine.
Trust the experts.
Listen to the medical experts.
Trust the experts.
If you don't understand the science, you don't know what you're.
Yeah, Trump was definitely also pushing the vaccine, by the way. Operation Warp Speed. Okay. Has Trump come out and like own that? You guys know? He did. Thank God. Here's another thing Trump just did. He signed an executive order that any school that mandates getting the COVID vaccine will be defunded, which is great. But it's like, maybe an apology. So what guys like Alex Jones would say is that he had the wrong people around him, like Bill Gates and these people. But then I want to say that Trump ended up coming out against the vaccine at some point, but I could be wrong. I don't know. But yeah, like maybe, Trump, you did kind of push that out yourself too. You're kind of a part of that. I want to believe, okay, that Trump was just trying to work his magic and was just like, hey, we've got these great scientists and Bill Gates, out here, and we're going to get the vaccine out. We're going to deal with this. And he was being fed lies and went along with it. I want to believe that. Right? But, he did push out Operation Warp Speed. So he did bring in RFK, who's like written books about this. RFK was definitely one of the ones they were just talking about of not to listen to. He had what Biden had the 12, like 90% of the false information about the vaccines that Biden came out with that need to be censored. Robert F. Kennedy was on that list. Could it be controlled opposition, though? This is what we got to look at. So I'm loving RFK, Could he be controlled opposition? But hey, everything they're doing right now is like, thank Jesus. Oh my God. Wow. Right? Everything they're doing, Trump 2.0, he's getting the right people. He's not getting a bunch of people that totally, ambushed him on his own cabinet and stuff. This time around, he's like, he was ready. He got effed over. Here's what we're hoping. He woke up even from the vaccine. He woke up that COVID, he knows, came. It was created and launched not only from Wuhan. They're not talking about North Carolina. COVID leaked out of North Carolina universities and people actually had the COVID vaccine in 2019 before COVID even came out, before we even knew what the hell COVID was. All right. So what we're hoping is that Trump has woken up to how they, created this COVID to completely circumvent his whole presidency and the Russia hoax. And, it's like they invaded him at Mar-a-Lago. They even, apparently the FBI, it came out this week, the FBI had the order to kill at Mar-a-Lago if needed, to use lethal force if needed. When they raided Trump's home out there and they went through, Melania Trump's underwear drawer and all this and that. And now Melania Trump is like V for Vendetta, baby. They're back with the vengeance. They, their kids are out of it this time, which is kind of weird. They backed way out. The kids, because maybe Trump's like, all right, Trump came to Jesus. The bullet, missed him or whatever, hit his ear and, blood everywhere. And Trump came to Jesus and now he knew he was ready on day one, the exact people he needed to get. And he's just fighting against all this evil and he's remedying his mistakes from the, Trump 1.0, Trump 2.0. And, he's bringing back free speech and getting rid of the Department of Education and just throat punching these guys and, dealing with the evil and cleaning up the DOJ and, all the government bureaucracy. And he's cleaning up USAID and all the warmongering and he's going after the industrial, the what's it called? The military industrial complex, baby. He's auditing them. He's going to clean all that up. He's, making deals. He's already ending the war out there in Russia. He's going to create peace out there in the Middle East. And he's going to decrease our military spending and nukes and all this. And he's going to make deals with Russia and China, and they're going to de-nuke, and demilitarize and stop, nation building and on and on and on and on and on, and just fix the human sex trafficking. He even, like, one of his executive orders was he acknowledged a Native American tribe that we never heard of. He's just like, he's going warp speed, baby, and fixing all his mistakes and doing all the right things, right? We're hoping, I don't know. It's almost like it's too perfect. It's too good to be true, right? We just got to be careful of all this. So I'm rooting for it, but because it's obvious. But if the beast is still in control, I mean, what the hell can we do anyways, right? Maybe Jesus, it does say in the New Testament that Jesus said, it says all over the place, there is the great lie, the lie. Basically, the whole world was deceived by the great lie. The whole world by the great lie. It says that. Everybody was deceived. It's the nation, all the nations were deceived. It says it in Revelation and all over. And so, we're all just kind of deceived, and we're all just kind of effed. So we better come to Jesus, I guess. And then when you come to Jesus, it's going to be a shit show. Just be ready for that, because you're going to think you're following Jesus, but actually you're following the devil, because you're following religion or you're legalistic. And, we went over how does Satan function? Is Satan out there? Is it the world? It is the world. The lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life. Satan does. Yeah, that's true. Satan works through that. But it says Satan masquerades as an angel of light. And it's no wonder that his ministers, Satan's ministers, masquerade as ministers of righteousness. It's a righteous message, and it's condemning. It's heavy. Who did Jesus say, this is a synagogue of Satan, your father's the devil, and you do his works? He said it to the religious leaders, the teachers of the law, the Pharisees. They were doing Satan's work, which is judging and placing heavy bondage on people and not lifting a finger to help. It's condemning. Satan has a ministry of condemnation, condemning. Jesus, however, on the other hand, he didn't go to the sinners and prostitutes and tax collectors and sinners, and publicans and say, you synagogue of Satan. He didn't ever tell them your father's the devil. No, he was called a friend of sinners. And he was called a drunkard. Jesus was. It says Satan stands at the throne of God day and night. Just think about this for a second. Accusing the brethren. He's called the accuser of the brethren. It's heavy. It's righteous. It's a righteous message. It's heavy. It's accusing. It's an angel of light. It seems righteous. It seems right. He's got all his shit together, and all his tassels and his garments are perfectly in order. Boom, 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 boom. Seems like, that's how we get deceived. Is touch not, taste not, handle not. We think that'll save us. Be a good person, don't sin and do those evil things. Well, the deeper evil, this takes a long time to get. The deeper evil, is the judging. You have all your shit together and you look down on others and you make them feel like losers and that they don't add up. And this, I'm talking from experience here. I was Mr. Pharisee of Pharisees. First woman I ever kissed in my life was my wife on my wedding day. First kiss. Fasted for 40 days twice, memorized the Bible, memorized the scriptures, prayed on my knees in the closet every day for 4 to 6 hours a day. Been there, done that. I went street preaching every single day, seeking God sincerely, wholeheartedly, just to wake up and realize the devil's actually my father, just to get light on myself. And it's like an onion. It had to happen 10 times over. My life had to get completely wrecked, upside down. And then that hasn't stopped just to get humbled and broken, right? That's what God's looking to do, is break us and humble us, put us on our knees. Okay. It's always law to the proud, grace to the humble. That's a basic 101 theme all throughout scripture. Law to the proud, grace to the humble. That's how this works. The self-righteous, judging ministers of righteousness that look like angels of light, that's Satan, accusing, condemning. Okay. Law to the proud. They need the law. They need the law, right? They need the Bible. The Bible becomes their word of God. What does the Bible say the word of God is? The word of God is Jesus. Jesus is the word, and Jesus in scripture, I'm okay. My other half, my non-atheist brain here is talking right now. Jesus, because my other half of my brain is like atheist. I don't know what the hell's up and down, but I'll just tell you what I learned the hard way. Jesus is the word of God. He comes in you. It's the hope of glory. It's the hope of the new covenant. Christ in you, the hope of glory. You die, you no longer live, but Christ lives in you. And it's through the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit comes inside of you and teaches you all things and leads you into all truth. In the old covenant, okay, in the Old Testament, it doesn't say this in the Bible. It doesn't say this in the Old Testament, but they would say in the, this was said amongst the Pharisees, the law is God. There's a lot of verses on the law that the law is perfect, and all this and that. The purpose of the law, the perfect law of God, is to show us in a mirror our own condition. The purpose of the law is to show us our sin, okay, and to break us. It's law to the proud, grace to the humble. Paul said, I didn't even know what sin was until the law said, don't lust with your eyes. Don't covet another man's wife. Now the law, and now all of a sudden within me, sin came to life. So sin comes to life because of the law saying, touch not, taste not, handle not. So we have the law. We know it's wrong. We have our conscience, and then we sin because we're a bunch of dumbass, effed up human beings. Okay. And so we need a savior. It's grace to the humble, law to the proud. And so, and then when Christ comes in you through his Holy Spirit, he makes you a new person where you no longer live, but Christ lives in you through the Holy Spirit and teaches you all things and leads you into all truth. It's power. It says you'll have power from on high through the power of the Spirit. You now live this supernatural life where you no longer live. Christ lives. Okay. The problem is the churches these days don't have that power. Ain't no man coming in me. I love it. Yeah, this could be all a bunch of bullshit. The churches, however, these days don't have the authentic, true power of God. And so they have to rely on the Bible. That's all they got. They don't have the reality of scriptures. They don't have the reality of Jesus. It's all a bunch of bullshit. The churches are a business. And they have to have the Bible. So they call the Bible the Word of God. It becomes an idol. Because they don't have the real thing, it's a substitute. Now the Bible, which is said is God breathed, and the prophets were carried along by the Holy Spirit as they wrote. It says that. All scripture is God breathed. the prophets, people that wrote the Bible were carried along by the Holy Spirit. It doesn't say it's the word of God, and it's not meant to replace Jesus and the power of Christ in us. It's another, so if you want to come to Jesus, your life's going to be a mess because you're going to have to learn all this the hard way. And so here it all comes down to become like a little child, humble yourself like a child, and come to me. Let the little children come to me. Law to the proud, grace to the humble. I don't know how this works, but I know that much. I was the Pharisee of Pharisees. We're on Pharisees Anonymous here, boys and girls. So you can try to do good all you want. You can try to follow God and obey and do the right thing and obey. And it's strength in the flesh. It's your own power. It's your own strength that you try to follow God with. That won't work. Humble yourself before the mighty hand of God, and he will lift you up in due time. So, okay. Whereas Satan, who deceives the whole world, it says, has deceived the whole world. We're all deceived. He owns the world. He's he's the beast. The mark of the beast, is in Revelation, all this and that. So, we probably can't put our hope in this world, but we can still hope and pray for the best, right? Hope and pray for the best. I'm hoping and praying that Elon Musk isn't the damn Antichrist bringing peace. He's called the peacemaker, by the way, the Antichrist, whatever. So I don't know. I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't know which way is up and down. Who the hell knows what's going on? Trust nothing. Trust nothing. Even including these psyops. All right, let's finish this psyop here.
Fighting. Just let the experts speak. So maybe you should just shut up right now.
You don't want to take advice from your golf buddy or from your aunt. You want to listen to the scientists.
Can we all stop saying, I need to do my own research?
You see the ultimate effects of what happens when you don't listen to the scientists.
This isn't about being scared. This is about scaring us straight.
Science, science, and science. Only listen to the scientist.
If we follow the science, imagine, instead of staying locked up in their rooms, they're able to hug their grandchildren. This isn't about freedom. It's about freedom for your neighbors.
You can give each other a hug as long as everyone is fully vaccinated.
Listen to the scientists like the rest of us.
We have to listen to the scientists.
We'll listen to the scientists.
Every scientist, every expert, listen to the experts.
Listen to the science because the science works.
Very much.
Yeah.
I think trust science.
And as we all know, we were duped, boys and girls. We were absolutely duped. I'm going to show this right here. This Ryan Matta did this. He did these documentaries on the human sex trafficking, and it's wild. Okay. Let's see. There's a lot of good stuff we go over. There is, another great example of a psyop. Here we go.
Trump ripped a couple judges. The left's busted media machine is slowly coming back online. Trump ripped a couple judges over some rulings he didn't like, and voila, constitutional crisis is the phrase of the week.
We are 3 weeks into the second Trump presidency, 3 weeks, and tonight there are warnings that the U.S. is dangerously close to a constitutional crisis.
That is a constitutional crisis. That is a crisis for our democracy. We've got our toes right on the edge of a constitutional crisis here.
What we are witnessing is a constitutional crisis.
To defy court orders brings about a constitutional crisis.
We've moved from a constitutional crisis to a constitutional collapse.
Constitutional crisis is not a new talking point. It's the exact same one they used in the first term.
Open warfare between the Trump administration and Congress has Democrats declaring that a constitutional crisis is upon us.
I think if the president takes too many more actions here, he's on the precipice of, prompting a constitutional crisis.
The problem is, as was just described,
We're heading rapidly towards a constitutional crisis.
I'll just tell you, this could precipitate a constitutional crisis.
Nobody's saying it's going to be okay, Mika.
Okay.
Okay. In fact, this is a constitutional crisis, which is why we said this is a constitutional crisis.
The left's dictator hoax is getting awfully stale. But that's not stopping them from reheating their leftovers.
Don't fight being a monarchy, John. Embrace it. Kings get done. Now, is it stuff that you want done? Not necessarily, but they do move quick. They taste cumin at lunch, and they've taken over an entire continent by dinner time. That is how the British rolls, John. Everyone else, they're not like us. In fact, if I may sing a line from Mr. Kendrick Lamar.
And if the monarchy doesn't make you nervous, what about death of democracy?
I mean, this isn't hyperbole to say that we are staring the death of democracy in the eyes right now. The centerpiece of our democracy is that we observe court rulings. This is a really dire moment.
Wait, if Trump winning the election was going to kill democracy and he won, why is it still a threat? Constitutional crisis, monarchy, dictatorship, death of democracy, it's all the same. The jig's up. The left needs to get it together or suffer the possibility of political extinction.
They're not course correcting at all. You know, they're saying stupid. It's all nonsense. We don't trust the New York Times. We don't trust the Washington Post. We don't trust CNN or any of the MSNBC. But they're all full with propaganda.
Yeah.
And so that's why the internet rose. It's not because there was some sort of right-wing conspiracy and heavily funded. No, you guys suck. You guys suck.
So it's just like, okay, so here's where the controlled opposition could come in, right? Because it's just so obvious. This is such an overwhelming, obvious, common sense thing. Could this whole thing have been just totally the J6, the COVID, and could all of this just happen on purpose? You know, from the beast, the powers that be. They control everything. If it is, well, we're basically, humanity is hopeless anyways. We're pretty screwed. So I guess come to Jesus, boys and girls. We all just, humanity is hopeless.